Hello, I'm Jill Marie, founder of SVH and Serenity Ministries, and today our topic for discussion is boundaries and how to set firm, friendly ones. Now, I don't know about you, but most people my age were raised in a time when it was unacceptable for a child to set boundaries for personal privacy or even a preference. Back then, you accepted what you were given, and you did what you were told to do without question, and you never, ever presumed to know more than an adult. It wasn't so much that we were following directions on blind faith, as much as it was that we knew better than to ask why. Because most of us that grew up back then were being raised to be subordinate, unquestioning rule followers. And the reason why we were so passive is not because we didn't really want to ask questions and understand, but because there could be some extreme consequences for behaviors that were considered to be insubordinate. And asking the question why was considered sassing, and you could get your mouth washed out with soap or something even worse. And it goes without saying that good little boys and good little girls don't sass. Now, this suppressive way of raising children wasn't just in my timeline. My father was raised that way. His father was raised that way. Clearly, there were many generations before them where free thinking was not encouraged in adults, let alone children. Things are quite different now. And the dynamic of the modern-day home offers the opportunity for children to ask questions about decisions that are affecting them. And most importantly, parents are taking the time to explain their way of thinking to the children, which opens up a safe dialogue between them to discuss options. Now, kids today are so savvy. They are so intuitive that they're able to reason and negotiate with their parents, which I see as incredibly refreshing. The children are teaching the parents, while the parents are teaching the children, and everybody is getting an education. These children have been given the freedom to question decisions that relate to them, teaching them to discern and confidently set boundaries. Now, we can learn from that, and we can help to keep the dynamic of that flowing for all generations to come. And while we're celebrating this new wave of sovereignty that exists for the new kids on the block, what can be done to help us? Us that were raised in the dynamic of, because I said so. Some might say the damage is done. And now we just have to live with the hand that was dealt to us and move on. But with SVH, we can dig into past pains and suppressions. And the thrust of this modality is powered in the past, where we position the reformatting tools to clear away blocks that continue to play roles in our present. Today we're going to have an opportunity to apply a comprehensive clearing that sweeps through your life to each of those moments when suppressions through words and tones and body language and collective consciousness beliefs were projected into your consciousness through actions and impressions, learned responses, anything that limited your ability to set boundaries back then. Those dynamics that would block you from maintaining sovereignty and personal empowerment throughout the life. That's what we're looking for in this clearing. So back in the day, most parents didn't teach their children to set boundaries, because in that time frame, children were taught to be seen and not heard, and it was a child's job to make their parents proud by being obedient. So why would they be allowed to ask why? And I think we also have to recognize that many of us grew up in an age when antiquated collective consciousness beliefs held people hostage. There were so many have-tos and gotta and expectations, and one of the biggest blocks to setting boundaries is fear. And there was a lot of fear back then. And fears of reprisals, fear of making a mistake, fears of upsetting someone or hurting their feelings, fears of not being liked or being judged as not being a nice person because we set a boundary and that hurt somebody's feelings. And one of the other most easy way, I think, to control someone and kind of bring them back into line was to tell people that they're selfish. So how many times have you yourself or seen someone else set a boundary only be told that they're being selfish? And even if the boundary honored them and their sacred path and purpose and all beings involved, they were bullied into letting go of their claim for sovereignty. And that waffling can be directly traced back to childhood and the lack of an opportunity to develop boundary setting skills. Setting a boundary honors everyone, but not everyone can see the value of a boundary, especially those whose ulterior motives are thwarted by a boundary, or maybe there's a resistance to the change that a boundary offers them. Now, because we didn't strengthen the muscles of discernment and boundary setting in our younger years, there are many of us that even still resist setting boundaries today. And one of the fundamental reasons why is that we don't believe we have the right. So most of us that have that belief system, it's important for us to set boundaries that are foundational boundaries for us. So, setting boundaries for yourself. The foundation for your personal boundary is to choose yourself, to choose you, to honor your path and your purpose, and to uphold your sovereignty. And I think the key element here is to give yourself permission to choose the right thing for you. Now, part of the clearing mechanisms that we're going to apply today is really to search out whatever means empowered others to override your personal sovereignty. Because many of us were not trained to set boundaries and to fully define the deal breakers in our life. We've given others the right and privilege to define some of those elements for us. So we have to search out the seeds and foundations that have handed over this privilege to these individuals, whether it be through our mannerisms or maybe our acceptance of inappropriate behaviors and maybe our accommodating nature that sometimes allows unacceptable behaviors to persist. It doesn't matter if these individuals are family or they're friends, an elder, someone that we work with, someone that's richer than you, more successful, has more of an education, or they're loud and threatening. It's important to set the boundary with yourself first, and then set boundaries that work in your life. And the SVH tools are calibrating right now to search through your life, looking for the imprints of any experience that fits a scenario that is matching what we're talking about, that would limit you from setting firm, friendly boundaries now. We can use the SVH tools to sweep through the life, to mop up the words and the tones and the body language of those that indoctrinated us, and to help us release attachment to collective consciousness beliefs that gives credence to those old rules and standards that imprinted suppressive beliefs and patterns of servitude and blind obedience. And when the clearing is complete, after you've implemented the authorization procedure, it's going to be like a high wattage halogen light bulb that's been switched on in a dimly lit room. Because what once was acceptable to you will start to be seen in a new light. And the key to this new awareness is not to draw a hard line in the sand and strap across, leaving everyone behind you, but instead to set a firm, friendly boundary that allows all the players in your life story an opportunity to make a choice to honor you. Now, it might take them a day or a week or a month to kind of get with the system. If they're going to make that shift at all, it's important for you to honor them. There's no reason to stomp around and make wild claims and cut people out of your life in order to set a boundary. I have a theory that all the players in our game that have been waiting, they've been waiting for this moment for us to step into our personal empowerment so they can lay aside the old patterns that they've had to continually play out because we let them. So setting a firm, friendly boundary starts with you. It starts with your commitment to self and your elevated life design, where you raise the bar so high that there is no opportunity for anyone to misunderstand what it is that you are choosing. Now, everybody deserves a chance to create the life of their dreams, and you are part of that, everyone. And the first step is making all of this happen for you is to choose it, and then to move everything out of the way that would block you from achieving this goal. Setting boundaries, especially the firm, friendly ones, allows you to create your life design and uphold it. When you define the reality that you desire, those elevated principles within your boundaries attract a whole lot of relationships that match the energy of your highest ideal. And through the example of your boundaries, the people that are already in your life have an opportunity to raise their bar or move aside, whatever honors them. Setting a firm, friendly boundary might begin with your definition of what it is that you are choosing, but it's upheld by your determination to maintain that focus. The key element that fuels the determination is self-centeredness, being true to yourself and being centered in that belief, allowing yourself to be the supreme definer of your reality. Now, the label of selfishness has been used to suppress free thinking and free doing for years. Okay? But today, we're just going to pull the label off that word, selfish, and remake it to fuel self-centeredness. Centeredness on self, supporting self-honor. Yeah. When you honor and love yourself, the bar is lifted for you to honor and support and love others in that same elevated energy and mindset. Now, the comprehensive clearing associated with this topic has come with great consideration. I spent many hours laying the foundation for emancipations for limitations. And some of these, I have to agree, were intentional. Intentional suppressions that were set in place to keep you in a role that was designed for you to be in. But not all. Most of these suppressions were not directly imposed on you as a means to stop you from becoming the supreme definer of your reality, because the seedbed of most of these suppressions were just a reflection of what was, mindsets of the time frame we lived in. And now we live in a new time, and we have an opportunity to claim more, and through enhanced sovereignty to be more. To activate this transformational comprehensive clearing using the SVH tool quantum level reprogramming, close your eyes and imagine that a big movie screen is floating before you. And on that screen is the dedicated clearing on the topic of boundaries. Silently ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment to have the Creator implement all of the clearing and transformational reformatting for you by the Creator. And now just pause for a moment and just see, sense, hear, or feel the affirmative answer from the Creator. It'll come swiftly. And the moment you perceive your answer, just think the word yes. And the Creator will implement all of the stages of this comprehensive clearing, and dominoes of light will begin to topple from the first days of your childhood when the suppressions begin to imprint. And new realities that you and the Creator sponsor are going to begin to rewrite in the past and rewrite the stories of your childhood and your adolescence and adulthood, laying new foundations for your enhanced sovereignty and grace as the seeds of the past begin to grow into your presence, strengthening you, strengthening your resolve, and assisting you to step into a role of personal empowerment that honors you and honors your life purpose. In the next days and weeks, your homework is to simply be aware. Watch for patterns of behaviors that limit your free expression. And each time you have an opportunity to set a firm, friendly boundary, remember that most of the players in the story of this life will wake up to the possibilities that are available to them from increased sovereignty by experiencing the opportunity to honor your boundaries. You see, they might not get it right away, but just remember that they're learning. And as a gentle teacher, you can teach them through grace and through understanding and through your unwavering focus. Because when you set a boundary that honors you and you don't waffle, you honor yourself. And when you honor yourself, you honor everyone. Now that you've experienced a comprehensive clearing using the SVH tools, I hope you'll explore more of the recordings in this section and also take a few minutes to visit our website at serenityvibrationhealing.com. There are so many dimensions of SVH, from personal empowerment to hands-on healing and mastery expansion. Serenity really has something for everyone. Namaste.